Good morning, guys. Okay, so in this video, rather than simply going over the first trade of the week that I took and kind of talking you through it and analyzing it as it's running, I thought I'd do something a little bit different, which hopefully will be helpful. It's kind of a problem that I see quite a lot, is that when people are trying to sort of find areas to trade from, they confuse themselves or they pick levels that don't really show much of a reaction, and it ends up causing unnecessary hardship and losses. So the start of this week, the first trades I took were kind of scalping trades, quite small trades on the Monday. So if I can find the mouse, I can bring that up. There we go. So a couple of small scalping trades ended up the Monday for £335 of profit. So good trades, but pretty small movements on them. So I thought it would be a good day to do this video. So first thing is, when it comes to support and resistance, if you're a complete beginner and you don't know how to plot support and resistance, I will link to a beginner video at the top of this screen, which will take you to the video which shows you basically how to identify and plot general support and resistance. Now, when plotting support and resistance, you can end up with something like this, which looks pretty confusing. So just for reference, this is actually my chart on the FTSE. I'm going to do the FTSE and the DAX just because those are the markets I trade. You can do it on whatever market you want. It doesn't make any difference. But this is what it looks like when I just come on to the daily time frame. And it's, even looking at it now, but certainly if I came back to this as a beginner, it looks like a bloody mess. Yeah, it looks incredibly confusing and I would have no idea how to start breaking this down. One of the kind of misconceptions around all elements of trading, but especially support and resistance, is that there's some kind of secret that's out there. There's some kind of special indicator which is going to show you how to do it perfectly. And the whole kind of, signal service, Instagram traders, they kind of play into that, going off of the difficulties that traders have and saying that they kind of have the solution. When you are picking your trading levels, first thing is if you're trading between the 5-minute and the 30-minute time frame, the general support and resistance levels, the best time frame to pick them on, through experience for me, I've been trading for around about 8 years now. For the people I've worked with, it's the daily time frame. There's arguments that it's better on higher time frames, lower time frames. From my experience, it's the daily time frame by far. The daily time frame smooths out enough of the price action so that you don't pick kind of unimportant levels. Because if I'm doing this on the, let's say the 5 or the 10-minute time frame, I can pick an area which looks very significant, but it's only because I'm looking at that time frame. So I can see a huge spike, but in reality it's maybe 20, 30 points of movement, which isn't overly important. If I move up time frames, so I start getting into the kind of weekly, it starts to smooth out too much of the market and you can end up missing a lot of very key trading levels. And also you tend to find your trading zones are absolutely enormous, which is no good to us day traders. So daily time frame, you're picking out your general levels. Now, as I've gone over, this can look pretty confusing. And when it comes to actually trading day to day, when you just see things like this, you can think to yourself, when you're on the 5-minute time frame, let's say, and I'm looking to trade for today, I'm looking at all these boxes and thinking to myself, what even is this level? Does it make any sense? Why am I trading off of this area? So one of the best things I find to do is to kind of dial down a little bit more. Now, to do this, we're going to go on to the 1 hour time frame and we're going to look at recent price action. It's very, very important when you're doing this because recent price action is going to show us what the buyers and the sellers have been doing fairly recently. And if they've been doing it fairly recently, then it's very likely when the market comes back to those levels, it's going to show some sort of a reaction. And as a day trader, we should also point out, I'm picking the levels on the daily time frame. However, I don't need daily time frame movements. So yeah, it's great that it comes up here and rejects by 100 points. But as a day trader, when you see people trading higher time frames and they're saying, I made 100 points. As a day trader, you can do what they've done in 10 points. So we're looking for really kind of smaller reactions. Not always, sometimes we look for bigger reactions, but very small reactions can make a big difference to a day trader's trading account. So once you have your daily support and resistance levels, what I'm going to do is let's take let's take the last 3 weeks of price action. So Sunday, and that's another Sunday candle. So that's basically 3 weeks of price action. Let's kind of cordon this off. And we're going to say we're coming into the market and we're setting up. And we've just kind of got our trading levels set out. We've done the trading levels a little while ago. We're not really sure what the market or what these levels are signifying. Because if I'm looking at this level, let's say, I have to come all the way back across to, what is this, October, no, it's April of 2019, for I'm seeing the kind of main reaction points. Got a little bit here also, but I'm having to go very far back. And it's easy to forget that when you're day trading. So by using the 1 hour time frame, what we're looking for, let's find that line. So the line's here. Okay, so we are trading from here. Yeah, we're just going to pretend we're trading from here. By coming onto the 1 hour time frame, I can take a kind of snapshot of what the market has been doing. So we can see the market is rallying first of all, and pretty simply, you could get a trend line on there. Is the first thing I would see. So we're testing this trend line. Okay, so this is before the line, but it's giving you the indication that as we come down below here, potentially the market is going to sell off. So it's giving you the clue that as we're rallying, you can watch for weakness into your zones. But after this horizontal line, as the market is breaking up like this, and it's testing into this area, what we can do is we can look at the 1 hour time frame and we can start to think, okay, so what is the market doing on this time frame? This is almost like zooming in and starting to read the story, starting to understand what the market has been recently doing. Now, what can we see? We've had these swing points and we have tried to break up from those swing points. So very likely when we're coming back down, we're looking for the reaction points on the 1 hour time frame. There's quite a few in this zone, yeah? You can see test, test, this one's testing it, this one's testing it. If we drop a little bit down, we've got reactions in this zone. You can see it testing here, you can see it testing here, 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 and here. Now what I can also see is this big move down here when the market was looking like it was turning a little bit more bearish. We then set into a double bottom and then we get a very, very strong rally. So what does that mean? It means buyers stepped in a strong way right here. The center point of the, let me mark that in better, the center point of that double bottom. Very often when you have a double bottom that makes a big move, when the market comes back to retest, you see reactions. So it's telling me that as the market is pulling back down, let's say we're coming into this trading week, as it's pulling back down, okay, I can see the reactions. It's telling me that potentially there's going to be bounces from this level and this level. And we're starting to get bounces, 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 multiple times, big strong bounce here. What it's also telling me is if we get back down to this level, it's a very good area to watch for potential reactions. Now, what do we see here? We see the market coming down, testing into that center point. You can see it. It dips down, tests into that zone underneath, but it's holding at that zone there. And then what do we get from there? We get a very, very big bounce. As we start to bounce back up again, what are we looking at? Okay, so now we've got this price action. Look at all of these swing points. Yeah, what's it telling us? Potentially we're breaking down. People are going to be watching this now as maybe moving into a downtrend. It comes back up, it retests, it rejects. As we reject down, we're testing into the swing and we're bouncing. Now, as we come up, we're starting to break above all of this. So it's telling me that potentially on pullbacks, it becomes good areas to watch for buys in this area. Market breaks up. Again, as it breaks up, we're breaking above this swing now. Good for potential buys. If we pull back and test the zone, we test the zone. As we're starting to break down below, we're now starting to fail at this swing and all of these swings. Potentially, the market is turning a little bit more bearish. But what you can see is this is a strong reaction point, yeah? Recently, if we stretch it, you get a bounce before you get the sell-off. And that bounce is 20 points nearly, which for a day trader is a really decent movement. So that's kind of how I take my trading levels on the daily time frame, but then I start to almost use a magnifying glass and I start to kind of zoom in a little bit and I start to find the most important areas. It doesn't mean I won't trade from the areas where I'm not marked up, but it's kind of giving me the clue as to where the most likely areas are for a reaction and also what kind of reaction. And then what you can also see is if we just take this price action, so we've been having this uptrending movement, and we're coming back down to test, we break up again, we come back down to test, it starts to fail. And then as it starts to fail, we get a huge sell-off. All these clues are always in the market. It's always in the price action. Okay, so I am aware of the length of this video, so let's jump on to DAX and we'll do the exact same thing. Okay, so yeah, we're looking at the exact same thing. It's the daily time frame. These are the actual trading zones. The main kind of reason I'm doing this is for zone traders, just try and give them a little bit more of an insight, but any day trader can use this stuff. And I'm sure if these aren't the actual daily levels I've been using for the past little while, one of the zone traders will jump on and say I'm talking crap. So there's the third week there. Okay, so what I can see already is we've had a big move here. So it's not going to be too much, but there will still be clues here for the movements. I can almost guarantee it. But then we just come a little bit further left and we're looking for the most recent price action, because those are the most recent areas where the buyers and where the sellers are jumping in. Okay, so there is the line. So let's have a look. So again, you can see big uptrending movements, which breaks over the weekend actually, and we gap down. So you get a trend line in there, but we're not really looking at this side of the price action. So the market is coming down and testing into this zone here. So as I mentioned, there wasn't too much happening here. So if we just come to the left a little bit and we see where's the most recent price action, yeah, significant test right here with the pink line. So as the market is, let's move that into the zone. Okay, so as the market is coming back down again, we've got a significant test. But even just looking to the left, you can see there's a fairly significant test. Now, what I do tend to like to see is, if I'm buying, I like to see it having been tested fairly significantly as resistance as well as support. You just tend to find better levels. So most likely, I would have ignored this one because it was too far back, and I would have preferred this. Yeah, reaction, it breaks up, comes down, significant test of support. It's a good buy zone as we come back down into it. Good buy zone, and we get a big reaction. So these are kind of telling me the most important levels to potentially focus on. As we are breaking up, what are we doing? We're starting to break above all of this in this zone. As we start to break up above, it becomes a good potential bounce point. Bounce, comes back down, tests into the level, almost perfectly, bounces. Then we start to break up above these two swings. Test it, big bounce, down, test it, big bounce, test it, and we break a little bit further down before we get the bounce, but then the main kind of thing is then we start breaking out of this price action. As we start breaking out of this price action, we're starting to pull back. We're looking for potential reaction points. So you're just looking and you're saying, okay, a couple of big reactions here. It's testing here, rejecting. A couple of reactions here. You're not getting much of a reaction here, but then what does it do? What is it trying to do? It's pulling back up to retest into the most recent swings. Yeah, and that's exactly where you get the sell-off. As you start to trade more frequently, you can start adding things like trend lines. Yeah, test, 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 test. It then breaks the trend line. It's giving you the potential clue that you're going to see the bearish coming in. But even as that is happening, most recent reaction, it's on one of your zones, test. And on the DAX, that's 30 points. That's a big movement for, especially if you're on the 5-minute time frame, it's a big movement. Market breaks down, what's it breaking underneath? Swing points. Where are these swing points? Yeah, testing into the zone here, pretty nicely. It's coming back up, it's testing the zone, it's testing the zone, it's selling off. Now where are we going to watch? We've got the market testing in this zone. Straight above this zone, so you don't get your reaction, but you then come back down and you test it and you bounce. Then we've got shoulder, head, shoulder, or a triple test, whatever you want to call it. So what's that potentially telling us? The market's turning a little bit more bullish. Test, test, test. Breaks up, pulls back, retests into the level, and you get another bounce. You're breaking up above this swing. Where's the reactions? Where's the main reactions? So you've got reactions here. Where's the main reactions? Look at this. It's leaving you clues all the time. So support and resistance is, I don't want to say easy. It's not easy. It's simple, the concept. It just takes time to get used to it. You don't need indicators. You don't need to be jumping around 15 different timeframes. You don't need to be comparing 84 different markets, the different sentiment. You don't need to be on the bloody news, watching for any little release to give you a little clue. You can spot everything by getting your main levels on the daily time frame, dialing down onto the 1 hour time frame to pick out the most important levels for the trading day, and then using that as your kind of guide. And all you need to do is kind of look at the 1 hour before the market starts in the day. You can pick out those levels. You can kind of remind yourself, and by writing on the chart why you're using certain areas, and it's going to give you fantastic trading opportunities. Okay, so as I mentioned, a little bit different today rather than just doing the live trade. It was a couple of scalps on the Monday. I could quite easily have gone through those, but in all honesty, I didn't even record either of the trades because I wanted to do an educational video, and I want to do another one. But what I'll probably do is another live trade next week, and then I'll go back to doing an educational video once again. Okay guys, so that's everything for the video. As always, I hope that was helpful. Hope you're all having a fantastic trading week. I'm James Orr, and thank you.